You're listening to the Young Buck Old Buck podcast, presented by Forest and Sky, sponsored by Chops & Co. Public Market.
There we go. Heads up.
Touch him up. Dead bird. Dead bird. Get it, Sky. Get it.
Good job, buddy. Keep flopping.
Man, hearing that turkey gobble on the intro gets me fired up from what we experienced this past week. Welcome back to the Young Buck Old Buck podcast. We took a week off, but we're back. Bruce, what's the word?
Back in the saddle. Excited. Man, we got some fun stories tonight. Fun stories. I don't even know where to start. We have an action-packed week.
We sure did. So it is Tuesday after the first week of Michigan Spring Turkey Opener. And as Bruce mentioned, we absolutely had a jam-packed, fun week. And we are going to tell you all about it on the podcast. We're going to break down just what went right, what went wrong. We're going to tell some stories where we almost peed our pants in the woods.
More than once.
More than once. But first, let's do a brief outdoors update. We are the week after opener. If you know how Michigan spring turkey tags work, if you buy both public and private land, you get the first week and then you get the last week of turkey season. So Bruce's tag expired this past Friday. And then I tagged out, and we'll tell that story. But now we're kind of in this lull. We have some buddies who have some tags that we'll work on, maybe trying to help them out. But the weather is warming up, and I have been seeing boats on the water.
That's turning my head a little bit too.
Are you ready?
Oh, yeah. I really wanted to kill a turkey so I could focus on getting water ready, but it's okay. We can shelve the turkey till the first week of June. I'm ready. I'm ready to go. Wet a line. Picked up a couple of new lures.
Ooh. Yeah, we talked about maybe even going this weekend. So hopefully we can get out there and start that adventure. Another fun thing. I found this out today. I have a buddy that works for Keystone RV, and they were coming over here to do an RV shoot tomorrow morning. And we were talking, and they really want to go after kind of the outdoors scene. And so, Bruce, this is kind of a big deal. You are in the presence. You're in the same room as a model. I am modeling tomorrow.
Oh, you?
Oh, yes.
Oh,
me.
you? Okay, gotcha.
That's right. I told my wife, I said, how does it feel to be married to a podcast star and a model? And she just laughed at my face because we have like 40 people that watch this consistently.
Okay. I'll take 25. I don't care.
No, but so we're going to be doing some stuff tomorrow and grab the dog. The dog's going to have her debut. And in turn, the RV company is going to tag Forest and Sky in a bunch of stuff and get our name out there, which is great. I might get some swag. And I'm trying to negotiate for a week in a Keystone camper. So we'll see how that goes.
I'd love to see that one come off.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I mean, to me, the options and possibilities are endless. Could you imagine they give us a camper for a week and we go head over to Kansas and bow hunt out of that thing and document, take pictures, film? We could even bring Alec with us. I mean, big opportunities here.
Huge opportunities. I mean, you go out there, score, you do a bunch of good work for Keystone. You never know where it's going to go.
Yeah, so who knows? But I got that debut tomorrow. But then other than that, as far as an outdoors update goes, I've just started the first session with Sky on training her how to track deer. She did phenomenal. The first thing was the deer hide. Put the deer hide on the bumper, through the bumper. Didn't faze her one bit. She grabbed the hide and all, brought it back, did multiple retrieves that way. Tell you what, though, that deer hide set my allergies off like no other.
No doubt.
Oh, man, it fired me up. So next time I do that, I think I'm going to wear gloves because you touch that hide and then you rub your eyes or whatever, and oh, goodness. It was terrible. I had to go home and shower and take allergy meds. But yeah, any other outdoor updates from your neck of the woods?
Not really. I was working on the shores at Diamond this week, and you're starting to see a lot more guys out fishing, and a friend of ours caught a real nice bass right here off the dock yesterday. So fish are moving up. They'll be bedding pretty quick. Things are starting to fire up. So you see a shift. I know a lot of guys that tagged out last week on turkeys, so they can focus on getting after them now.
Yeah, shout out to Will and his buddy. They doubled up. During opening week. Shout out to Ruben's daughter Haley, is a youth hunter. She's 9 years old and shot her first tom. Shout out to Vaylor, who's in Pennsylvania. He, I believe, is 8, maybe 7, and he shot a tom, a good bird this past weekend. So, it's fun to see kids get into this sport, and there's been a lot of birds hitting the dirt.
Yeah, my buddy Ed Dietrich shot a real nice one at his place in Hillsdale. Got a couple pictures a couple days ago. He shoots one every year. I don't think he's ever missed.
I know guys that can just time that like clockwork.
Yeah.
Is
well, he's
incredible.
he's the kind of guy. He gets on big fish. He shoots big deer. He always kills a turkey. I love him, or I wouldn't like him at all.
Cool. Well, let's jump into opening week. We have some stories to tell. And it all goes back to the Friday night before turkey opener.
We like to thank our sponsors, Chops & Co. Public Market. Chops & Co. specializes in locally grown, responsibly raised, high-quality pork products, direct from their farm to your table. Located in Jones, Michigan, give them a call at 269-244-1999.
So, Bruce, you and I did a strategic move on Friday night. We had this chunk of public that we knew there was birds in the area. You approached it from one end. I approached it from the other. We made our way into the woods. How far do you think you went yard-wise?
267 yards.
To the T. This man had Onyx
That's
up.
the thing about Onyx, man. you go that far, 267.4, I think it said.
Yeah, and I went about 400 yards in.
Yeah.
And so this property is kind of like an L shape, so we were kind of coming from each leg, gravitating towards the middle. And I sat down, and I wasn't even sitting for like 5 minutes. And here comes this tom running across the woods, jumps up, flies up into a tree, and roosts like 65, 70 yards away from me.
And what direction did he come from, Daniel? Right from me.
Yes. So it's possible Bruce bumped him on the way in. But yeah, that was cool just to watch him in the tree. And he was gobbling his head off. I mean, he must have gobbled 13 times, just absolutely losing his mind. So that was fun. Got to watch that.
Really fun.
If you're on the Instagram page, I took a picture through my binos of capturing him in the tree. So you know what? We felt good going into opening morning because we had a bird roosted. And so we woke up at the butt crack of dawn on Saturday. I picked you up at 5 o'clock, I think, on the dot. And we made our way back to this hunting spot. And in typical fashion, I feel like this is just normal for you and I, where I tell you, oh yeah, I have this place on lock, we're good, straight shot back there, no problem at all. We're walking through the woods in the dark, and nothing looks familiar to me.
And it's a hard walk.
Oh, there are branches and limbs everywhere.
Coming in from that way, I could not believe the deadfall.
Oh, we sounded like a herd of elephants walking through there. And of course, we have things like our hands are just full. It was rainy that morning, so there's still a light drizzle that was happening. We were trying to protect camera equipment. And so we ended up getting probably 80 to 100 yards farther than where I wanted to be. Like, we walked way past the spot where I wanted to go, and we decided just to bunker down, sit down, be quiet. And we found this deadfall that we hid in. You kind of were behind it. I was in it. And it was complicated at times because you and I couldn't really communicate super well to each other without being too loud.
I could only see the backside of your left sleeve. I could not see your head.
Oh, really?
No, you were below me that far. I mean, the way that deadfall sat is I was up the hill a little bit. So I was actually a little bit concerned about being too far above it.
Yeah.
You know, being visible, but it worked out fine.
Mm-hmm.
It was I thought it was a great set.
Yeah. Well, and so we put decoys probably 10, 15 yards in front of us. And then in front of the decoys, it pitched up. We were kind of halfway up, it valleyed down, and then it pitched up high. And sure enough, we heard gobbles first thing in the morning. Sounded like kind of like a Jake, maybe closer by. And so we were talking to that Jake a little bit, and you saw him.
I did. I watched him for 5 minutes. You couldn't see him from your vantage point.
No.
And he just walking around, and then he kind of walked off in a direction away from us. And it wasn't shortly after that.
Well, we kept calling, and all of a sudden, the gobbles were loud, and they were thunderous. And there wasn't one, but there was two. Because, man, when you hear two toms gobble in the woods, you know what's going on. And so you even kind of whispered. I heard you whisper out loud, like, talk to him. You know, get after, fire him up, I think is what you said.
That's exactly what I said.
And so I started calling hard, and, man, they did get fired up. So they ended up making their way to the top of that ridge, and one was fanned out the whole time. And I think it was the dominant tom. It was the larger tom that was in strut the entire time. I would honestly be curious to know if that other bird. Well, no, because we saw that other bird later. It was a full-on tom as well. It wasn't just a Jake. So
I put him in the scope. I said I'd shoot him, if I could, but I couldn't get. Yeah.
So two good birds. So they started making their way to the top of the ridge. The gun that I'm using is the famous Ruben turkey gun. It is the Beretta A400 with the Indian Creek choke tube in it, and he shoots, I want to say he shoots Apex, but I could be wrong. Maybe Foxtrot. But anyways, the gun has been known to kill birds at 98 yards and pattern good at 50. This gun has a scope. It's a 4X mag on the scope. And I was looking through the scope the entire time on this bird, and I didn't want to move because the decoys were between us and the birds. And I felt like if there was any movement in the background, we were going to get toast. And so I was really just trying to be super still, and I'm in deadfall again, right? And so there's branches everywhere. And I'm looking through the scope, and we finally get it to where the strutter makes his way 48 yards on top of the ridge. He gives me a good side profile, and there's actual audio, and we'll release the footage here shortly. There's audio of you saying, "That's a dead bird." And I squeeze the trigger, and I miss. And I miss because I didn't realize while I was looking through the scope that there was a stinking branch in front of my barrel. I mean, I remember just seeing wood just splatter out in front of me, just wood chips everywhere. I mean, that wood got some expensive TSS put into it. Let me tell you, that was the most expensive trim job that branch has ever seen.
You know what didn't get any TSS put in it?
The turkey.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Sorry.
And you know what Bruce's first words out of his mouth were?
No.
That morning?
Maybe not quite the first words. And we're not going to put them on the pod. But we did get to the point where we walked back to our setup. That was after.
Oh, you're right.
It was after we went to look for your bird.
Yeah.
And only just to appease you because I knew that bird. I watched him go off in that way. But the other bird did not spook. He just kind of walked off straight away.
You're right.
So when we got over there to look, that bird was standing about 70 yards away.
And you thought about shooting him.
I did. I held that scope on him. There was two trees. It was a sketchy shot. So, but I had the howitzer. It was working in my favor.
Yeah.
I'm always going to think of Ruben's gun as a howitzer. So we let that bird go instead of spooking him, and we walked back to our set.
And Bruce, without skipping a beat, says, hey, you may want to call the gun shop and get your money back. I don't think it's the gun's problem. And at that moment, I think I was actually crying, but I had to laugh to kind of cover the bases because I was absolutely just devastated. And you and I mean, we kind of had a moment. We held each other for a second. I mean, you hugged me, and I'm like crying on your shoulder, and I'm laughing, and you're laughing. You're about to pee your pants.
I about went down.
I'm about to pee my pants.
I said the timing of that. I'm not normally that quippy. That was one of the funniest things I think I ever said.
So that was something. We tried to run and gun after that, and we didn't get anywhere. So we packed it in. We went back in for the evening hunt. We started kind of on the other end of the property, and we walked about 1.5 miles. I mean, good night. We put some serious miles on our boots that afternoon. And then we finally, with about half hour, 45 minutes left of light, sat down just so we could, see if anything was going to come in. And we ended up having one bird kind of run by us on our backs, but never could get a shot off. He was too far anyways. And so we're sitting in the Cadillac of chairs, right? But these chairs make you sit so low to the ground, but they're awesome. They take the pressure off your back. It doesn't hurt your tailbone. They're just great to sit in. And so Bruce and I are sitting next to each other, and we're both in these chairs, and it's time to get up and exit the woods at this point. And Bruce goes to get up, and he's having a hard time because they're low to the ground. Like, I even have a hard time getting out of them. And he gets about halfway up, and I turn around, and I just push him right back down. And then what happens after that, Bruce?
Well, once I collected myself, because now I'm laughing again it's just like an absolute nut. So I kind of heard the story, so I tried to get up again.
And I pushed him.
I got stiff-armed again.
I pushed him right back down.
And I lost it then. I was done. It must have been 10 minutes before I could get
We were
up.
both like, couldn't breathe, tears flowing. And I looked at him and said, that's what you get for saying what you said earlier.
He worked on that one all day long. Revenge was wicked.
A little bit of payback. Yeah. So that was our opening day. It was great. We had fun, saw some action. That was cool. And then we didn't hunt Sunday. Sunday was Easter. And honestly, I thought about it. I had my alarm set. I was going to go out. And I just felt like I needed to be there for my family. I needed to have my mind in the right place. And so took the day off. Felt good about that. We went out, scouted birds that evening to see if we could get one roosted for Monday. I don't think we heard anything Monday, but you saw a couple toms cross the road, like right at sunset, that you said, hey, maybe try sitting in this area Monday morning. I did that. Absolutely nothing. It was raining Monday morning too, so birds weren't fired up. It had cooled down even. So just no luck. And then Monday night, cameras went off, and the bird was back where we were hunting on Saturday. And then I went that evening, that Monday evening, and I heard the bird roost and gobble as the sun was going down. So we had an idea of where this tom was. And let me tell you, audience, this bird that I missed, we have trail cam pictures. This bird was an absolute stud. Double beard, and those have to be at least 10 inches of beard per beard.
Oh, it's a great bird.
It is a stud.
Yeah, the last trail cam pics we got really confirmed that.
And so I was pretty passionate about going after this bird. And so we know that we want to get into the neighborhood Tuesday morning. I talked you into going out with me Tuesday, and we had a good idea. We were going to take a pretty clear path back to where we needed to go. We were going to cut into the woods, and we were going to just get in the neighborhood. But we didn't want to get too close because we wanted to hear the first gobble to see which way we had to go. Well, we didn't just get into the neighborhood Tuesday morning. No, we got into the bedroom.
Hello. Can we come in? Right in the bedroom.
Like under the covers, pretty much. We decide that we don't want to go any further where we were in the woods. You and I looked at each other. We made that decision. This is where we're going to sit. Yeah. And I said, okay, you stay here. I'm going to go up 20 yards, drop the decoys, find a tree, and we'll just sit up here. I go and I put the decoy in the ground. And Bruce, what happens?
Well, as I was turning to the tree I was going to go for, the turkey gobbled in the tree right over your head. I was like, he's got to be standing right there. That turkey gobbled. The hair on my neck jumped up. I'm like freaking out. I think I jumped from my spot, opened my chair, hit the ground, and parked in it all in one move.
But here I am. I'm stuck in the open.
Yeah.
Because I put the decoy down, and that bird gobbles right above my head, and I'm like, crap. And so I go to take a few steps and get into a tree, and after I take like 3 or 4 steps, that bird kicks up off the roost, and he flies away. And just absolutely devastating, because we were so stinking close. And, you know, we talked about this. When Ruben was on the podcast, we talked about this. There are times where you roost a bird and then you just get a little too zealous the next morning and you end up busting him off the roost. So I learned my lesson. I really do think it is better to knowingly be 100 yards back than it is to try to get too close. So that was a big lesson I learned on that Tuesday. So here we are. Tuesday evening rolls around. I'm getting ready to go roost a bird. You had plans that evening, so we couldn't get out there. And one of my buddies says, oh, you know, I heard this bird gobble over here. I'm like, really? It's private that I have access to. And he's like, yeah, it happened last night. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So I go over there and I listen. And sure enough, there's a bird over there. And I have trail cameras over there. And they pop off. And sure enough, there's a bird on trail cam. So we hit up our buddy. We have a mutual friend who preaches at our church. He's never been turkey hunting before. He talked to us Easter Sunday and said, hey, if you guys are going out, you know, let me know. I'd love to be with you. So we hit him up. He came out with me Wednesday morning. We go into this spot. There's an open field. I set the decoys in the open field. Then I walk into a tree line. And so the way it goes is there's decoys, me, and Joel in the tree line, and then birds further into the woods along a swamp edge. And it worked out perfectly because the way the birds were, they're on top of a pitch, on top of a hillside, and when they're that high up and they look out, they're going to look directly into that field, and they're going to see those decoys. So sure enough, birds fire off on the roost. I call a little bit. There's not just one Tom, there's two. Two gobbles happening. They come down, and they came down, and they were silent. And I looked at Joel, and I said, when they go silent, we go silent. And it usually means they're coming. And sure enough, here they came over that ridge, and they were on a mission. And honestly, the Tom gave me a great shot within the first 3 minutes, but my gun was too far to the left, and he was looking right at me. I didn't want to move. I was waiting for him to duck behind a tree to keep walking along the ridge, but he ended up backtracking, and him and the other Tom went back up the ridge, and I thought we had blown it for a second. Then a hen starts firing off, and you can hear the audio, and I'm saying like, man, I don't know. We're competing for a hen now. I don't know if this is going to work. But the hen ended up coming to our decoys. And so I watched to my left. I watched the hen come and walk to my left, and the birds are following her. And so I take the first bird behind her because I see a beard, and I shoot it 28 yards. This is the first shell to ever come out of the new 28 gauge I bought, that SA 28. And that bird drops. I get over there. Lo and behold, it is a bearded hen. Hey, it has a beard on it. I've shot 2 in a row, 2 years in a row. Honestly, I don't love it, but
it's legal.
It's legal.
It's legal.
It's legal. And I tagged out. It ended my season. This year was kind of a roller coaster because Anna was home with the kids a lot we have a 6-week-old baby, or 6-week baby, and I just needed to kind of punch that tag and get home. And so I did that, and super stoked. I mean, it was for a bearded hen, it was almost an 8-inch beard. I mean, it was a good beard on her. And I'm going to mount the fan. I'm going to mount the beard. It's going to be cool.
You should.
Yeah.
You should. Glenn shot his bearded hen and had it mounted. Got a full mount hanging
Really?
on the wall in Florida. Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's really cool.
I feel less bad about that. If you're going to get a full mount, then.
So then I finally did get out the next night, or that night. I went out that night on that big bird again,
Yeah, you were going after the double beard.
who had been on the same strut path 2 nights in a row on camera, and he never showed up.
Never showed.
So, and that was the extent of what I had for time for that week. So
Yeah.
I go back on hold.
Yep. But we're going to go after it. That June 1 through 7, man.
Yeah, we'll get after it.
We're going to get you a bird. I feel pretty confident about that. So there you have it, folks. That's opening week of turkey season. It was a great week. It has its high highs and low lows, tears, both happy and sad, but some great memories. And it was super fun to kill that bird with Joel because he had never experienced anything like that before. And so to do that with a new person in the woods, someone who I look up to and is just a brother in Christ.
Oh, yeah.
The
The look on his face was as if he had taken that bird.
Yeah.
He looked that excited. And he did a great job videoing, too.
Yeah, he did a great job filming. So that video will hit the YouTube channel. Cool. Well, let's talk about the Lord, Bruce. And we went to church this past Easter Sunday. And honestly, before that, a couple weeks even, we've heard another message. Or no, I'm sorry. It was this past weekend at our men's retreat. We heard another similar message. And the theme was Abraham and Isaac. All right, so let's jump into the story. We're looking at Genesis 22, and I'm not going to read the whole passage because it's a lengthy one. But this, again, this is where God is asking Abraham to sacrifice Isaac. And starting in verse 1, it says, "After these things, God tested Abraham and said to him, 'Abraham,' and he said, 'Here I am.' He said, 'Take your son, your only son Isaac, whom you love, and go to the land of Moriah, and offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains of which I shall tell you.' So Abraham rose early in the morning, saddled his donkey, and took 2 of his young men with him, and his son Isaac." And so the story goes on. I'm sure a lot of people have heard of this story before, but we've heard now 2 awesome sermons regarding this story. And so, Bruce, what has really just stood out to you? What have you clung to when it comes to the story of Abraham and Isaac?
And well, as you learn more and more of it, you know, when in the season that it takes place, God literally spoke in those years to those people. He literally spoke to Abraham, not a thought or not a vision. He spoke to him. And Abraham was a true and faithful servant. And if God says, do this, do this. But you learn that the comparisons, I'm going to fast forward here, but the comparisons to Christ going to the cross are unbelievable. And this is, I actually forget how many years it was between the 2 stories. But this is the precursor story to Christ dying on the cross. It tells a story of a unbelievably faithful man. And as it turns out, Isaac, the son, being willing to take the place of the lamb. So as the story progresses, in what we didn't read there, as they go up the mountain, Isaac realizes, well, Dad, we have the wood, and Abraham built an altar, but we don't have a lamb. So that's when Abraham has to tell him. And Isaac, who it's been pointed out in both sermons, Isaac was of an age they figured that he could have taken Abraham because Abraham was somewhere in the 60 to 80 years old in our
I think
years.
even older than that.
They said it was like 120. So there's some math things there that maybe not jive. But at any rate, Isaac could have taken him, saying, "Not me. I'm not doing that. Go find a lamb. Go find a ram. Do something." But he willingly laid down on the altar.
Yeah. No, and we see that because Isaac is actually the one that carried the wood up to the altar. And so, if you know anything about sacrifices back in those days, it's not just like a little stick or two. I mean, like, it's a hefty load. And he had to have been the age where he could at least carry that wood up to the altar. And if he was strong enough to do that, he was strong enough to probably take Abraham. And just the willing sacrifice that Isaac was in that moment, it reflects and it is just a glimpse at the willingness of Christ and the sacrifice on the cross. I mean, Jesus is a way better willing sacrifice than Isaac is. Isaac's still a sinner. He's still fully human. He's not any part of him. There's no part of him that is God. But yet here we have Jesus, who is fully God, fully man. And it was an absolute willing sacrifice. I mean, if you think of it, just the fact that Jesus being fully God, I mean, he could have just dropped everyone during the crucifixion. But he knew that he was on mission, and he was on mission for you, for me, for anyone listening to this. And he was that willing sacrifice to pay the penalty for our sin so that we could have eternal life, so that we could be reunited with the Father, that we could be reconciled. And so just what a gift we have in that willing sacrifice.
Amen to that. And if you don't know that story about Abraham and Isaac, look into it. Look into it. It's a very intriguing story.
Yeah. And I think another thing that we should point out, too, is when it comes to following God, I mean, count the cost. Like, Abraham was a faithful servant to the Lord. His only son, I mean, God asked him to sacrifice his only son, and he was prepared to do it. Now, if you're listening to this and you have kids, you know that is not an easy task at all. I mean, golly, there's things that we have a hard enough time sacrificing. Sacrificing comfort, sacrificing lust, sacrificing money, time, whatever it may be, but our child. And so I think it also just encourages us, like, hey, where you at? Step up your game here a little bit. And it challenges me of like, man, there's a lot of things in my life that, man, am I willing to sacrifice that for the Lord? Because here you have Abraham, who was willing to give his one and only son. That's how much he loved God. That's how much he wanted to serve God. And that's how real God was to him.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it should be noted that in the story, God cried out to him, Abraham, Abraham, stop.
Mm-hmm.
He proved that he would honor what God had asked him to do. So if it sounds a little bizarre if you've never heard the story, but you have to see it through to see how it worked out.
Yeah, I mean, God stops him and provides a sacrificial ram.
Provides a ram that was tangled up in a bush, and rams didn't get tangled up in brush.
Right.
So God tangles a ram in the brush. They get the ram. They make a sacrifice.
Yeah, elaborate on that a little bit. I mean, so the ram's headgear is their primary defense mechanism.
It's their weapon. That's how they survive.
And so they were well aware of it.
Yeah.
They didn't just carelessly get tangled up in brush.
No, not at all. Not at all. That was totally a God thing.
Mm-hmm.
Without question.
Yeah. So again, Genesis 22. I even encourage you, listen to some sermons on it. Do some research yourself. Read the original text and just dive into it, because there's a lot of meat there, and it's just been a huge encouragement to you and I this past couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's been really great stuff. You and I, with the conversations we've had, especially after the men's retreat this weekend, I've been duly challenged. Even in my senior years, what am I doing? where am I? You know, what am I willing to sacrifice? And maybe address a few idols in my life.
Yeah, and we've also just, kind of just have revisited the idea of discipleship too. Like, for you and I, it's easy to sit around and yak about hunting and this, that, and the other. But there's times where we just need to get real and get real fast and just like have a quality check-in of, hey, where are you actually at? How are you actually doing? And let's talk of things that are eternal and not just, we have going on or are fun and exciting.
Somebody asked me this weekend, how you doing? In light of some things that are happening with us. And I said, good. And Drew whispers in my ear, you should answer good at lying. That was like, kind of knocked the wind out of me a little bit. Like, he's not wrong.
Yeah. Yep. So some good meat to chew on. We're walking the journey and we're just being real with you guys. And it's good to just, hopefully you're challenged by it. Hopefully you're encouraged by it. We would love to hear any feedback or input that you have. Email forest.sky.hunting@gmail.com. Again, forest.sky.hunting@gmail.com. And we want to continue to really dive into this stuff, into discipleship, into scripture, and what the Lord's teaching us, because that is far more important than any turkey we're going to shoot, than any fish we're going to catch, any deer we're going to mount, is this eternal stuff. And so thanks for listening this week. And we hope to catch you next week. Thanks for being patient with us as we kind of took a week off. But we're going to keep rolling. And our plan is, to kind of roll up to summer, and then we might take a few weeks off during the summer, because that's kind of my go time with summer camp. And Bruce will probably be on a boat fishing.
Well, yeah, we're not going to quit until we definitely get a few fish stories in.
For sure. So, all right, we will catch you next week. Again, hit that like, subscribe button, comment, whatever you can do to help us to continue to get this content out there. We will see you later.